Scientists have spent decades trying to answer one simple question. How intelligent can an animal become without a large brain, without parents, without a social life, and with only a year or two to live? The answer shouldn't be an octopus. And yet, again and again, these animals solve problems that researchers never expected them to solve. They escape aquariums, open sealed jars, recognize individual humans, and even use tools. By everything we know about evolution, an octopus shouldn't be this smart. So, how did it become one of the most intelligent animals on Earth? To answer that, it all starts with a sealed glass jar. The jar experiment proved one thing. An octopus could solve a problem it had never encountered before, but it didn't explain how. For more than a century, scientists believed intelligence followed a simple rule. A bigger brain meant a smarter animal. Chimpanzees, elephants, dolphins, humans. The pattern seemed almost impossible to argue with. Then researchers looked inside an octopus, and suddenly, that rule stopped making sense. An octopus has around 500 million neurons, roughly the same as a dog, enough to support surprisingly complex behavior. But here's where things become strange. Only about 1/3 of those neurons are located inside its central brain. The other 2/3 are inside its arms. At first, researchers assumed those neurons simply helped control movement, like the wiring inside a robot. But experiments revealed something they never expected. The arms weren't just following orders, they were making decisions of their own. Each arm can process sensory information independently, coordinate incredibly complex movements, and adapt to new situations without waiting for constant instructions from the central brain. It's not that each arm has its own mind, but each arm solves its own problems, and that raises an unsettling question. If most of an octopus's neurons aren't in its brain, where does its intelligence actually exist? The answer may be everywhere. Imagine trying to control 8 flexible arms, no bones, no joints, nearly endless possible movements. Every second, each arm is touching different surfaces, sensing different textures, and gathering new information. If every tiny decision had to travel to one central brain and back, the animal would react far too slowly. So evolution chose a different solution. Instead of building one incredibly powerful processor, it distributed the workload. The central brain decides the objective. The arms figure out the execution. It's an engineering solution unlike almost anything else in the animal kingdom. But movement is only half the story, because every time an octopus touches something, it's doing much more than feeling it. Every single suction cup contains chemical receptors. That means an octopus can literally taste with its arms. A hidden crab leaves behind invisible chemical traces. To us, the rock feels empty. To an octopus, it's full of information. Imagine reaching into a completely dark room. The moment your fingers touch an object, you instantly know whether it's food, a predator, or just another stone. That's remarkably close to how an octopus experiences its world. It doesn't simply look at its environment, it investigates it, constantly. Every arm is asking questions. Every movement is collecting evidence, which may explain something divers have reported for decades. An octopus doesn't explore like most animals. One arm disappears into a narrow crack. Another anchors the body against the current. 2 more continue searching nearby rocks. Everything happens simultaneously. It almost looks as though 8 different animals are working together. But here's the mystery scientists couldn't answer. A strange nervous system doesn't automatically create intelligence. Plenty of animals have unusual biology. Very few solve entirely new problems. So how do we know an octopus is actually thinking instead of simply following instinct? The experiments that came next completely changed the way scientists think about animal intelligence. A strange nervous system is fascinating, but it doesn't prove intelligence. To answer that question, scientists needed evidence. Could an octopus solve problems it had never encountered before, or was it simply following instinct? The first experiments seemed simple enough. Food was hidden inside transparent containers. The octopus could see the reward, but reaching it required something entirely new. At first, they failed. The animals pulled at the container, turned it over, tested every surface. Then, something changed. Instead of repeating the same behavior, they began experimenting. Different movements, different angles, different strategies, until eventually, one discovered the solution. It opened the container. That alone was impressive. But what happened next surprised researchers even more. When presented with the same challenge again, the octopus solved it dramatically faster. It hadn't stumbled onto the answer. It had learned. And that opened an entirely new question. How many different problems could an octopus solve? Researchers kept raising the difficulty. Mazes, locked containers, multiple step puzzles. Again and again, octopuses adapted, sometimes in ways the scientists themselves hadn't predicted. One of the most famous examples came from aquariums around the world. Staff would arrive in the morning to find fish missing from neighboring tanks. There were no broken barriers, no obvious explanation, until security cameras revealed the culprit. Under the cover of darkness, an octopus would climb out of its own tank, cross the floor, enter a neighboring aquarium, catch a fish, then quietly return home before anyone arrived. It sounds almost unbelievable, but similar escape stories have been documented by multiple aquariums for decades, which raises another mystery. Was the octopus simply reacting to its environment, or was it planning ahead? Scientists still debate exactly how octopuses represent problems mentally. But one observation stands out. When they fail, they often don't repeat the exact same mistake. They try something different. That kind of behavioral flexibility is one of the defining characteristics of intelligence. But perhaps the most remarkable discovery wasn't made in a laboratory. It happened on the ocean floor. Researchers studying the veined octopus noticed individuals carrying discarded coconut shell halves across the sand. At first, the behavior looked ridiculous. The shells slowed the animals down, made them more visible, and seemed to provide no immediate benefit. Then, a predator approached. Within seconds, the octopus assembled the shells into a protective shelter and disappeared inside. For the first time, scientists had documented an invertebrate carrying an object with no immediate use, only to use it later. In other words, the octopus wasn't just solving the problem in front of it, it was preparing for a future one. That's considered one of the clearest examples of tool use in any invertebrate. But perhaps the strangest experiment of all didn't involve tools or puzzles. It involved people. At the Seattle Aquarium, researchers discovered that captive giant Pacific octopuses could distinguish between individual keepers. Some approached family caretakers calmly. Others consistently reacted to people they disliked by turning dark, avoiding them, or even squirting jets of water at specific individuals. Not uniforms, not routines, specific humans. The octopus wasn't just recognizing shapes, it appeared to remember individuals. By now, The evidence was becoming impossible to ignore. An octopus could learn, adapt, remember, plan, and solve completely novel problems. But that only made the original mystery even bigger. If evolution had already given the octopus camouflage, 8 powerful arms, venom, and incredible flexibility, why did it also need intelligence? The answer wasn't hidden inside its brain. It was hidden inside its body. By now, one thing has become clear. Octopuses aren't intelligent by accident. The real question is, why did evolution invest so much in a brain? After all, brains are expensive. In humans, they consume around 20% of our energy, while making up only about 2% of our body weight. Even in other animals, nervous tissue is one of the most metabolically costly organs to maintain. Evolution doesn't build brains unless they're worth the cost. So what made intelligence so valuable for an octopus? The answer begins with everything it doesn't have. No skeleton, no protective shell, no claws, no sharp teeth, no speed to outrun predators, and no social group to watch its back. Compared to many marine predators, an octopus is surprisingly vulnerable. So instead of evolving stronger armor, it evolved better decisions. Imagine you're a crab. Your shell protects you. If danger appears, you can simply hide. Now imagine you're an octopus. Your entire body is soft muscle. One wrong decision could be your last. Suddenly, choosing the right hiding place, the right hunting strategy, or the perfect moment to escape becomes a matter of life and death. Intelligence wasn't a luxury. It became a survival tool. And nowhere is that clearer than during a hunt. An octopus rarely relies on speed. Instead, it studies, it watches, it waits. Researchers have observed octopuses changing their approach depending on the prey they're hunting. A fast shrimp requires a different strategy than a crab. A fish hiding in coral demands patience. A clam buried beneath the sand presents an entirely different challenge. There isn't one fixed hunting program. The octopus adjusts, again and again, its behavioral flexibility in real time. And that flexibility may explain why octopuses have survived for more than 300 million years, while countless other marine predators disappeared. But intelligence has another advantage. It allows an animal to succeed in an unpredictable world. Storms reshape reefs. Predators move into new territory. Food sources disappear. Animals that rely entirely on instinct can struggle when conditions change. An octopus can do something different. It experiments. If one approach fails, it tries another. That's one of the defining characteristics of intelligence itself. Not knowing the answer, but finding one. Which raises one final mystery. If evolution created one of the most intelligent invertebrates on Earth, why did it give that intelligence to an animal that lives for only a year or two? Perhaps the greatest mystery of the octopus isn't how it became so smart. It's why nature gave such an extraordinary mind so little time to use it. The octopus solved one of evolution's hardest problems. It became intelligent enough to survive without armor, without speed, without strength. But evolution demanded something in return: time, or rather, the lack of it. For all of its remarkable intelligence, most octopus species live for only 1 or 2 years. That's barely enough time to master the skills that make them such extraordinary survivors. And unlike humans, elephants, or even crows, an octopus can never pass those experiences on. There are no families, no communities, no teachers. Every octopus begins its life alone. Everything it learns, it must discover for itself. Every generation starts from scratch, which makes their intelligence even more remarkable. Because every octopus that opens a jar, escapes an aquarium, or outsmarts a predator reach that solution without learning it from another octopus. But perhaps the strangest part of their story comes at the very end. After mating, the male's life enters its final chapter. Within weeks or months, depending on the species, it dies. The female faces an even greater sacrifice. She lays thousands of eggs inside a protected den. Then she does something almost unimaginable. She stops living for herself. For weeks, sometimes even months, she rarely leaves the nest. Instead, she gently cleans every egg, removing harmful algae and debris. She constantly fans them with oxygen-rich water, ensuring they continue to develop. During all that time, she barely eats. As her body grows weaker, she refuses to abandon the eggs. Modern research has shown that this isn't simply exhaustion. After reproduction, dramatic hormonal changes trigger a process called senescence, rapidly accelerating the breakdown of the body. By the time the eggs finally hatch, the mother is dying. Shortly afterward, she does. It's one of the most extreme examples of parental investment in the animal kingdom. Everything she had was given to a generation she would never meet. And that's the final irony of the octopus. It possesses one of the most sophisticated minds ever evolved. A mind capable of learning, remembering, experimenting, even solving problems no octopus has encountered before. Yet almost every individual has only a single chance to use it. Perhaps that's why octopus intelligence fascinates scientists so much. It reminds us that evolution doesn't follow a single blueprint. It doesn't always build bigger brains, longer lives, or more social animals. Sometimes it finds an entirely different solution. A soft-bodied hunter with 8 curious arms, a mind unlike any other on Earth. It finds an entirely different solution, and intelligence so extraordinary that by everything we thought we knew about evolution, an octopus shouldn't be this smart. For a long time, scientists believed there was only one road to complex intelligence: a large brain, a long childhood, social groups, parents teaching their young, generation after generation building on what came before. Humans followed that path. So did dolphins, elephants, and many birds. The octopus didn't. Its ancestors split from ours more than 500 million years ago. Since then, evolution has been running 2 separate experiments. One eventually produced mammals. The other produced a soft-bodied animal with 8 arms and a nervous system, unlike anything else on Earth. And somehow, both experiments arrived at the same destination: the ability to solve problems, to adapt, to learn from experience. Not because evolution was trying to create intelligence, but because intelligence turned out to be one of the best survival strategies nature had ever invented. The octopus never became the strongest animal. It never became the fastest. It never developed armor. Instead, it became curious, flexible, adaptable. Every challenge became another problem to solve. Every obstacle became another opportunity to learn. And perhaps that's why octopuses continue to fascinate scientists today. Not because they're simply intelligent, but because they force us to rethink what intelligence actually is. Maybe a mind doesn't need to look like ours. Maybe it doesn't even need to be organized like ours. Maybe consciousness, learning, and problem-solving can emerge in ways we never expected. The octopus is living proof that evolution doesn't follow a blueprint. Give life enough time, enough challenges, and enough opportunities to adapt, and it may discover entirely different ways to build a mind. Perhaps that's the most extraordinary lesson the octopus has to teach us. It's not just one of the smartest animals in the ocean. It's proof that intelligence itself can evolve more than once. And if evolution found a second path here on Earth, it leaves us with one final question. If intelligence evolved twice on one planet, how many times might it have evolved across the universe?